Hello everyone, I'm Rob the Robot from the Adobe Education team, and I would like to welcome you to the Inject Creativity Live Show. This is an online show for educators interested in digital creativity. This show is live on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel, as well as other social media, and past recordings can be viewed via bit.ly/Adobe-Inject. Any teacher, whether an Adobe user or not, in any K-12 or higher education sector and any subject area is welcome. Here are your hosts, Dr. Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Thanks, Rob, and welcome to the Inject Creativity Live Show, the online show aimed to inspire educators and enhance digital literacy, communication, and creativity skills for themselves and for their students. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, Tim, and a special welcome to everyone who's joined us live on Wednesday, the 16th of June, 2021. We encourage you to say hi, and in the chat, let us know where you're from and where you teach.
While you're in the chat sharing a bit about yourself, we'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. We respect and honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders past, present and future, as well as all Indigenous people from the lands we reach out to during this event.
We acknowledge their stories, traditions and living cultures. We acknowledge them as the first peoples in our lands, the first scientists and the first creatives, and we commit to building a brighter future together.
During this episode, Adobe Education leader Craig Daalmeijer-Power will hopefully be with us. He's from TAFE, New South Wales, and just having a few little technical issues at the moment.
And Adobe Education leader Stephen Kolber from Brunswick Secondary College in Melbourne will be our thought leader for this evening.
And he is definitely with us because I can see him in the green room right now. And we've got a comment that's come in straight away. We do have a slight issue today, folks, that we've lost connection to the Adobe for Education YouTube channel. So most of you are probably just watching the recording of this, but some people are watching through other channels, which is lovely. And we've got someone saying greetings from Facebook, but not saying anything particularly interesting there. They're just telling us that they're from the Philippines.
Just saying hi.
Hi. That's nice. Nice to say hi to you too. All right. We might actually skip the saying hi bits because we're just a bit concerned that most of you will be watching the recording of this session. Therefore, probably not going to be interacting with us all that much live. Let's hear from Rob the Robot.
You're watching Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Thanks, Rob. Let's now welcome our good friend and the Inject Creativity Live moderator and techie whiz, Jerry Wong. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'll be looking out for your comments and questions in the chat and posting the most relevant ones. To encourage you to use the live chat, I have an Adobe-related quiz question for you.
Wow. What is it, Jerry?
Now, name the Adobe Creative Cloud app that allows you to design, prototype, and share a mobile app solution.
There you go. Now, with the people that are with us live, and there's only a handful.
Yeah, we've got a couple of Facebook people. Say hi.
Excellent, excellent. Has anyone got an answer to that question? Oh, Wong from the Philippines has. Let's see what he says. He reckons it's Adobe Xd.
Hey.
Reveal the answer. It is. Well done. I was going to do a drum roll.
Round of applause.
It's already there. So we're going to give a round of applause. I've got my sound. Oh, we don't want to go too far. Well done. That was a loud round of applause. Thank you, Roland. Congratulations. It is Adobe Xd. And of course, Adobe Xd has been a fabulous addition to the Adobe Creative Cloud for a number of years now. In fact, I don't know if you know this, Erin, we have over 300 people who are on the Adobe Xd product team. It's one of the largest teams at Adobe. We really think that Adobe Xd is going to be absolutely massive in the future for Adobe.
I did not know that. That's a huge team. It's so many talented people working on what is like a really great product.
It is. It's amazing. And I'm very pleased to report to you that Craig Daalmeijer-Power is back with us now. Craig, give us a thumbs up in the room if you can hear me.
Yeah. Yes.
He's not giving us a thumbs up, but that's all right. Hopefully
Yep.
we can hear one of us.
Oh, yeah. There we
No,
go.
there's a
There we
thumbs
go.
up. Woo! Having a quick chat with people backstage. That's fantastic. So, no, that's great. So, yes. Wait. Tim, you were talking about the Let's XD site?
Yeah, so Let's XD is now being combined. A lot of people know the Let's XD site as Let's LETS, Let's XD, and now it's actually become a general site for Adobe Xd. And so you can still type in that URL and then you'll get access to some fabulous resources. But we're looking forward to hearing from Craig Daalmeijer-Power, who's going to be doing a little bit of work on XD with us later on in the show.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
All right, let's welcome our guests for this episode. Craig, welcome to the show. It is very, very lovely to see you. Are you okay?
Yep. Yeah, all good. Just had a little bit of a tech issue at the start there, but a bit of a panic. But no, I'm all good now.
There you go. Craig, tell us, how long have you been an Adobe Education Leader for? Where do you teach and what's your role?
Yeah, so I started off as a campus leader in 2018, I think it was, and then a year later became an educational leader, so 2019. I'm the head teacher of photography, screen and media, digital games and digital media at TAFE, New South Wales.
Excellent. Erin, you're going to welcome our other guest?
Yes. So, drum roll, please, Steve. It is wonderful to have you join us again. Could you please share with us how long you've been an Adobe Education Leader, where you teach, and your role?
Sure. So my name's Stephen Kolber. I teach at Brunswick Secondary College. I've been an Adobe Education Leader for just a tiny bit, a couple of months, 4 months, end of last year, and I'm very excited to be part of the program.
Steve, I believe that both you and your wife are part of Teachers Across Borders Australia. Can you tell us about that organisation?
Yeah, sure. So we're a charitable organisation. We've been running since donkey's years, 2009, and basically we take groups of teachers from Australia, the US, and anywhere else where we can find volunteers to teach primarily Cambodian teachers. And so we run week-long workshops on sort of pedagogy and those sort of things, and try and bridge the divide between their classes of 60 and our classes of 25 or 30, and try and communicate, it's more of an exchange than kind of a here's the way to do it, because we would say here's how we do it, and they would say that's not going to work in 60 or 80 kid classes. So at the moment we're currently trying to sort of crash course our way through some online alternatives due to the COVID situation we're in. But
that's fantastic.
Oh, that's amazing.
Really?
And sorry, Tim, you were to say?
Yeah, go on, Erin. Yeah, go on.
Oh, no, I was just about to ask Craig what he was going to be sharing with us during this episode.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. So I'm going to be sharing some of my students' work that they've done in XD, so some innovation approaches that we've taken to assignment work, and getting them to really engage with the whole workflow of making XD, not just for doing an app design, but also doing some design thinking as well.
It's an amazing application. Every time I look at it, new things come about and new ideas and new inspiration. It really is almost the ultimate design thinking bit of software in lots of ways. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us. Stephen, what will you be sharing?
So I spent a week at an international organization talking about technology that I think will be of interest to the audience. And so that's what I'll be trying to make a link between international education, the future technology, and XD.
Wonderful. That wasn't the G7, was it, that you were at?
No, don't have a nice enough suit for that.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing from both of you very soon.
You're watching Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Now, you may have already noticed that Erin, Craig, and Stephen are all Adobe Education Leaders, members of the AEL community. This is the highest level of Adobe's education community programs. And according to the official Adobe Education Leaders website, there are only 266 AELs globally. So it's a very exclusive program with 62 And let me just work out the maths here, Erin. I'm estimating that's about 23%. How did that go, hey?
Yeah.
23% of them living and working in Australasia.
Which is crazy to think about. So Adobe education leaders are active members of the Adobe Education Exchange and are very passionate about using Adobe applications to enhance digital literacy, communication, and creativity skills in schools and universities.
They regularly share this passion with a network of educators wider than their own school or faculty and help support the work of the Adobe and education teams around the globe.
So last week we had an online catch-up with the global Adobe education leaders like we do every 3 months, and Dr. Kitchen put together this video summary of what has been achieved so far in this part of the world.
Hello AELs from all over the globe. It's my pleasure to give you a brief update of some of the exciting things that have been happening in the world of Adobe and education in the Asia Pacific region, with a particular focus on Australia and New Zealand. In the past 3 months, we have run over 50 events for this region and over 70 events since the start of 2021. We've directly impacted over 6,500 teachers and over 4,000 students, a total of nearly 11,000 direct impacts with our adoption program so far this year. Some of the highlights have included our regular Inject Creativity live shows on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel and the Australasian Adobe for Education Facebook community group. We're getting an average of over 770 views per episode. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my co-host Erin Raethke from TAFE Queensland and all the other APAC AELs who have contributed to this show so far this year, including Jason Lane from Queensland, Paul McLean from New Zealand, Chris Betcher from New South Wales, Juliet Bentley from Queensland, Adrian Brooke from Victoria, Michelle Dennis from Victoria, Stephen Colbert also from Victoria, Lauren Sayer also from Victoria, Brett Salakis from New South Wales, Stephen O'Neill from Western Australia, and Dr. Max Leisure from Victoria. Our next episode on June 16 will be featuring the wonderful Craig Daalmeijer-Power from TAFE, New South Wales, and Stephen Colbert from Victoria. I'd also like to thank former Aussie teacher and now AEL from Toronto, Canada, Tim Cosgrove, who gets up in the middle of the night to tune in for each and every episode. Tim, you're an inspiration. We've just completed a series of webinars titled Get to Know Your Adobe Apps, targeting middle school teachers, senior secondary educators, and higher ed teachers. I'd like to particularly thank Adobe Education Leader Adrian Brooke from Victoria for helping us with a number of these sessions, as well as Craig Daalmeijer-Power, Brett Kent, Joel Aarons, Lauren Sayer, and Erin Raethke. We're running a competition for AELs from ANZ called the ANZ AEL of the Year, where the criteria is based on the number of Adobe-related events and impacts, but also how many ACEs you recruit. So I encourage all the ANZ AELs who are listening to this to keep a record of what you do for us, and most importantly, keep recruiting those Adobe creative educators from your networks. The top prize for the ANZ AEL of the Year is an iPad Pro and Apple Pencil. The rest of 2021 is looking exciting, with the big highlight being the APAC Adobe Education Summit from September 28 to 30, which is a holiday period for most of this region. AELs can register for this event via bit.ly/adobe-edu-summit21. Tuesday the 28th will be a day exclusively for AELs, where the global team will be sharing, as well as Adobe product managers and Creative Catalyst talks. This will be a combined online and face-to-face event, with satellite venues being set up in most capital cities around Australia. Wednesday, the 29th of September, is an Open Education Summit event for any teacher and can be found via bit.ly/adobe-edu-summit-21. We plan to have a small live audience in the Sydney office, and we'll be going out live throughout that day to teachers across the globe. The final day of the summit is planned to be a creative challenge day exclusively for AELs and ACEs. I'd like to thank the committee of AELs who've been helping us plan this event. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Thank you, Clara, Leona, Tanya, Dom, and Garima, and the whole team for all the work that they put into the AEL community across the globe. And a very special thank you to all the AELs across the world for the amazing work that you do to help enhance digital literacy, communication, and most importantly, creativity in classrooms all over the globe. Stay safe, stay healthy, and don't forget to keep being creative. And if you're interested in becoming an AEL, the first step is to do the Adobe Creative Educator program and get your ACE badges via adobe.ly/ACE. Now, Jerry, if we can find that slide, which I think might be the one, there we go. And that's the link there for it, adobe.ly/ACE.
When you've been part of the ACE program and shown that you're a part of a wide network of educators, you could be in line to be nominated to be an AEL. So use this contact form at bit.ly/Adobe_contact if you're interested in knowing more.
Hi folks, we are about to be inspired by an AEL, an Adobe Education Leader. AELs are passionate about the use of Adobe tools to inspire creative learning and teaching experiences in the delivery of either primary, secondary, or post-secondary curricula. The first step to becoming an AEL is to be an ACE, an Adobe Creative Educator, via edx.adobe.com/Adobe-Creative-Educator. You don't have to be an Adobe expert to be an ACE, just a teacher interested in engaging students through creative digital learning experiences. The ACE program is a free international micro-credentialing program. It only takes a few hours to earn your level 1 badge, and the focus is on creativity rather than Adobe. Please share this program with your colleagues and get involved. Who knows, you may one day also become an Adobe Education Leader.
And it's a delight to welcome Adobe Education Leader Craig Daalmeijer-Power. That's the second time, Craig, I've mucked up on your name. Craig Daalmeijer-Power to the show. Over to you, Craig.
Thanks, Tim. And I'm just sharing my screen now. Awesome there. So tonight, I'm going to do a bit of a walkthrough one of our courses that we're doing, which is the Diploma of Screen and Media. And we have a task there. We've got to design and develop interactive media. Normally what we've been doing over the years is, we've started with things like DVDs and that sort of aspect. And then we moved into Xd. When Xd came out, it was great to actually work with the idea of just designing information architecture, designing interaction, and also developing concepts. And so what I've done with each of the students is to actually get them to do a track through their journal as they're going through. So this is a little bit of Sparks as well. One I've got here. So each week I got them to actually look at how things around us work and look at sort of technology advances. And then we actually looked at other interfaces. So Fat Duck, which is a Heston Blumenth adventure in there, and having a look at what that was, and look at the user, the usability, navigation, design, and then looking at some other ones that were interesting, like that is the Havenworks, and it's quite a horrid sort of mishmash of design. I mean, you can look up how many floors. Some of the students actually said, screams in terror. So it's sort of that aspect of going through. And then they went in and each student got their own little approach to how they've actually done this journal. So we do find that they put little quirky bits in there. So we did Xd and introduced them into Xd. And then we actually used some of the aspects of interactivity and also collaboration. So we used the 30 circles as a warm-up sketching aspect, but gave each of the students a circle to work with and develop up as they were going along. Then I let them roam free into developing up an app design that I'd shown them, and then they developed it through and basically just hacked it as such. But then they worked on that. Part of the course as well, I did show the range of all the other programs so they could work on how they could integrate some of the content. So if they were using Adobe Dimension or Aero or even Mixamo, and bringing those content in there, and even using some VR components. So really pushing that envelope. But there was that part where they had to then develop up into developing up their app. So in this case here, I'm just showcasing Tiara's one. She actually got this one on astrology, and you can see this is the shared page, so that she was able to get some reviews happening from different users. And then if you're clicking on different aspects of it, using the burger, being able to click on different ones, and then building up from there. Now, if I come back to the home on this one, what I'm going to show you though is part of that development was also to build it in Photoshop, and by using each one of the actual finals over here. So if we're looking at our layers, I'll just bring that across. You'll see that, setting up their original title page for it, then what's the final one? So she had that developments, having the different horoscopes. So again, not developing all of it inside of Photoshop. I got them to start with the idea of doing their earlier sort of mock-ups as such to see whether or not these are going to work. Now, I could have got them to go straight into XD to develop this, but I didn't want them to start finishing off the project. So there's one of the issues that I do find with some students that they, if they jump into something like Photoshop or Illustrator or even Premiere, they want to have a finished product straight up. So in XD, we're looking at the end product straight away instead of looking at that iterative process of looking at that, seeing how does it work, going to the next stage up. And so now if I jump into the app itself, so I'm now in XD, and you can see that, as she sort of developed it up, they got rid of the star splash screen and then got this one here. So if I zoom in, see that even the importance of title pages, using the colors, so being able to adding extra components, the burger, the clothes sort of aspect happening, and then working on the idea of going to the prototype. And if I zoom out of this and just highlight, you can see the spaghetti that comes across where they've developed each one. So for each one of these interactivities, they've thought about, okay, well, where will that go? And being able to then say, okay, it's going to tap, it's going to go to the previous artboard or the next artboard. And then going to the stage of sharing that and being able to have that then shared as a design link. And that's what I just showed you earlier on, being able to work with that. Part of that process meant that they would be supplying as their assignment, not just the XD file, but also that process in the back end, looking at building up personas, looking up, doing the design aspects. And so if I come back out to here, and I'm going to just bring up a blank area. What they started using was one of these plugins. So inside of XD, right, I've just got a blank one open here at the moment. I've got a plugin, and these are all the plugins that I've got loaded on this one here. So there's some really great ones. So Animate allows you to put some interactivities and be able to look there. We can even do Alexa preview. But the one that I found really awesome, and that's sort of generated out of COVID. So if there's anything that you want to see as a positive out of COVID, I would say whiteboard. So I think it was about April last year, the Adobe International team produced this plugin, and I'll just click on it there. And what it's got is a whole lot of templates for brainstorming, for coming up for ideas, some infinity diagrams, how might we approaches. And what I got each of the students to do is, if I come down a little bit further, I've got the journey maps one that I get them to do along. So if someone's using the app, where do they go from which stage to next one? And then if I come right down, we've got, I can never always find it when I'm, there should be, whiteboard exercise. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in this case, the persona and users cases. So in this case, when I've just clicked it, you can see how quick and easy that is to actually produce up. So again, it gives a little hint on how to use it and what's it for, but I'm going to take that to the side. And so the students are able to name a persona, so giving it an idea of who would be their end user, and then answering some questions like, what are their preferences, frustrations, and personalities, and doing little post-it notes, how they'd find their product. So how would they actually be utilizing that product and finding it there? What will motivate them to use it? So it's not the idea of just designing an app for app purposes, just going there, but actually thinking along the idea of what that product will be useful for, and then how they'd actually use it as well. And so from that, each student was able to generate this. Now, if I just get my one up here, so let's have a look at Tiara's mood board and personal case. So she was able to have Ebony Rodriguez, and again, making up names. So these names aren't even real names. With the picture, they can either use, there's another plugin called Persona, and it actually generates personas just randomly. And so you can actually fill in that one there until you get somebody that you think suits your end user. Or I sort of said to students, find a picture of somebody that would be the end user. Then looking at the preferences, frustration, personality. So very spiritual, whole personality-based horoscope, interested in new information about their horoscope. What they get frustrated, there is not enough info on the net about that area. How do they get there? Word of mouth from Google. So again, it's building up all that aspects of how that end user would be using this app design that they've generated up there. And so each of the students came up with some really quite interesting ones. So I ended up with a young guy here who, I'm just going to close that live off for a second. Now, I wonder if you know what this one's going to be about. Obviously with the block here. When I play that, now if I hit the little play, you'll see that we get to see this played through. And each of the students were then able to even go through and enable the microphone and record the interactive click-throughs as well of their users. So that was a really good way of getting positive feedback or even negative feedback. But in the end of the day, I kept on saying constructive feedback's the most important thing to actually get with the students as well. And so, if I click on this one, it's actually giving us a bit of a, what is stop motion, going back. If you're a beginner, what are some of the software? What apps would you use? What are some of the editing softwares? So there's a whole range of different ones being listed here. And I did actually pick him up on saying, there was some missing Adobe editing software that you could be using there. But again, having what equipment you may use and what you might use. So really, sort of information packed there. What we also were able to do is, and I'll just bring this over as well. Now, this is just sharing inside of my phone. So I've got my phone here, and what you're seeing is me sharing my phone. So if I click on each one of those areas, again, I'm actually physically touching my phone and being able to walk through this. And so it's a really tactile way of getting the students to work with, how does it work with usability? How are these changes going to make, sort of the choices later on, and having that iterative approach. And I'll just grab. Now, a lot of them also worked on areas of games. So this game one, now I'll just see if I can get this one in here, called Outer Worlds. And so they were tasked with doing 20 screens as a minimum, but not going overboard as well. So it's about, being able to build in the next, sort of 12-week, sort of period to get something that worked quite well. Now you can see in this one, it's got multiple, sort of extra screens happening here. And if I go to prototype and actually click through, you'll see that it's got these little avenues of them linking to each one. And so if I then come and show you that, what we end up with is having some motion happening in the background. So I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not, but there's all the little stars are actually moving along and around, so in a loop. So adding, although XD doesn't add in video at the moment, it is actually something that the students work through problem solving and sort of guiding each other on that sort of one, and working in the idea of enabling interaction between each other and collaboration within the program by coming up here and actually going and sharing that as a cloud document, and then sharing it between each other and getting that feedback as well on what they're going to do. Now, don't know if the video is going to work with audio on this, but let's just see. So as you can see, he's moving around and clicking. And giving the, right, so there's a communication between the two students. Okay, so you can see there that that interaction that had there, and the reaction to the student when he was using it was like, that is so cool, and that's so awesome on how to work with that. And what we're using here is thinking this like a little mini animation. And so each one of those solar systems, as he's going along, right, are actually going from one screen to the next. And you can see it's using auto animate. So auto animate will look at the previous screen and then say, what's the difference between it? And then try to work on that. And that was quite an interesting one for the student to work with, because some of the animations were working, were actually deviating away from it and not working as they expected it. So then they had to then go back and then make some changes. So you can see that each one of these little discs is doing that turnaround, so it's giving that spin, and that sort of helped, sort of label it along as well. And now I'll just come for one last one. And so we actually had another student that decided to do gum. And so as you can see, each one of these projects are completely different. But they got the students to actually think outside the box and doing that sort of aspect of how they can use the actual XD, not just as a software program to produce an app, but also to think through that whole process of making something that actually has an end use and aim towards the end user, not the actual requester. So as I was the teacher in there, I was saying to them, I could be the client, and I'm going, I want an app on gum. But then they've got to remember that at the end of the day, it's the end user that they need to actually work with. So in this case, when they did do that, the clicking on the gum, he's looking very sort of colors there, going rankings or gum reviews, and then having all the different gums available, and then having different ones and how much they are per piece, and sort of a lot more information about gums than I'd actually really thought there was available out there. So that's a really cool way of getting the students to engage with not just the design process, but also to problem solve, think through where they're developing up, and also producing something at the end that they feel quite proud about showing and sharing as well. And I think that's really, at the end of the day, XD, although it did start as an app design program, I do see it more as a design thinking program, and I can see it as more of a collaborative program as well going forward. All right, so is there any questions out there, guys?
Now, Craig, I've got a question for you that I often get in these sessions, and let me just change there we go, that's looking a bit better. The question is, I'll bring Erin up too. What these plugins, like there's so many of them, some of them are from the XDT, some of them are third-party plugins. How do you actually access them? That's one question, but how do you find out about them, which is like another question? You might want to share I'll just bring your screen up again to help you with that answer.
Yep. So with the so if I come back up to, and I'll just look at this one here. So I'm under the design, right down the bottom, we've got the little, sort of block there, and that's got our plugins. Right. And so if I then go up to the little plus there, you'll see that got do more with XD, and we've got discover, browse, and manage. So in the case of when I wanted to go and look for the whiteboard as a good example, I was helping if I actually spell it correctly when I'm typing. Right. It will then go and find the whiteboard there, and you can see that it gives it a rating, and if we click on that, it'll give us that information about what it is. And in this case, it's installed. If it wasn't installed, it'll say that I could install that in. And as they do updates, you'll see that they've got that one there. You can even leave your developers feedback and give them sort of kudos where it works well, or give them that feedback that there's maybe some little bugs that need to be fixed. If I go back, I do have a tendency to go into browse for a lot of the time. So if I'm looking for a certain one, I can go under the categories, whether it's collaboration ones or whether it's design assets. So maybe some usability and testing. So if I go to design assets, you'll see that there's some user interface faces, so some avatars for mockups. There's that user profile one that I was just talking about a little earlier for the personas. So that one will actually generate just persona faces for you that can put up there, quite easy to work with. If you need some app icon generators, we can get those as well. So there's a number in there. I sometimes don't like to go in here that much because I find that I spend the afternoon going, oh, there's something new coming through here. And the most popular ones are listed, but you can also go most recent. So again, if you go, yep, I've looked at all those, that's my most recent one. And then it will tell you some sort of new ones. Oh, so I go, quick mock-up. I wonder what that's about. Let's have a look at that. Oh, it needs to be updated.
Instead of doom scrolling, it's creativity scrolling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, on this machine, I've only got that many plugins, and this is the work sort of one. On my laptop, I'm a bit embarrassed sometimes to show my laptop one. It's got way too many. There is also underneath the help area in XD. If you go Learn XD, you will find, now if that does open up for me, there's some really great, sort of tutorials there to get you started in learning XD. If you've not, done that before, Howard Pinsky, sort of is all over this now. He's got some really great tutorials in there and be able to, sort of catch up. But if you wanted to do, animated circular charts, that seems to be, the process where they're going to now. Making banners pop, some really great sort of aspects of working with it. as you can see, depending on which way you're going, design, prototyping, collaborating, or components, being able to get some really good libraries of components as well.
So much to it, isn't there, Craig? It's great.
Oh, look, it keeps on developing up and pushing that envelope. Every time they do an update, I always look forward. I'm one of those ones that, as soon as they update, I jump in and do that. That has caused some issues in the classroom, so that is one thing to be mindful of. So I had to say to students, when you start on one version, try to maintain that same version as you're going through, unless you really need to take one of these new, sort of updates that come into it. Because what we were doing was, if you're wanting to have someone collaborative work with you, they have to be on the same version.
Ah, good tip. Solid tip.
So that, The other one is, if you work in a newer version of XD and then you come into class and they've got an older version of XD, you'll say, unfortunately, you can't go back. And so in some of the classrooms, that makes it a little hard to backwards, load up, sort of that aspect of going through. So we've had a few little, workarounds where we had to work through that. The way that I did actually work through that is have it on my own personal laptop and basically then save it backwards, in different versions.
Craig, Tim Cosgrove from Toronto is asking, do your students have access to the same plugins that you have?
Yes. Every one of the plugins, the ones that are free, I think they're all free in there that I've been looking at, the students all have access to. So one student actually used the Animate one because he wanted to use video. Because XD doesn't support video at the moment, the Animate, what it does, it actually, when you go and sort of do a display, so in this case of displaying it here, it uses its browser interface and then shows the videos into it. And it was quite interesting. They had their show day where everyone had to go and showcase, and we did some peer reviews, which works wonderful. I have a cheat list that they just have to go through, and they'll actually sit there and be constructive with each other and look at that. And everyone, as soon as they got to Satani's one, they kept going, how are you getting video in there?
That's very cool. And Craig Robinson from the Philippines, he's been making a few comments here. One of the things he recommends is a plugin called Rotato and Educator. Do you know that one? Yep.
So again, if everyone wants to find that, again, you could do that, So.
And he's praising Howard Pinsky too, who you just recommended.
And you can see that one's a real 3D mock-up generator, and for the Mac. So great designs that you can add in. Not available for Windows yet. So there's a couple of yets in there.
Windows users are used to having yets.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for your time today and your preparation. And I am very, very pleased that we were able to actually connect with you, because that was a wonderful demonstration and you've done a fantastic job. So thanks again, mate.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Adobe recently launched a new course on the Adobe Education Exchange titled Preparing Students with the Essential Creative Skills.
In this self-paced course, you'll learn about essential creative skills like problem solving, communication, critical thinking, and collaboration, and how you can use Adobe apps to cultivate these skills in your students and prepare them for the future.
I'm glad Craig mentioned the collaboration side of XD too. We're having more and more collaboration features in our apps. You'll hear from expert educators who teach creative skills, dive into how to assess these skills, and access hundreds of free lesson plans and projects that combine educational content in any subject area with the powerful and engaging Adobe tools like XD.
Indeed. Here's a short video that explains more.
At a time when the world of work is changing rapidly and the jobs of the future haven't even been invented yet, you can prepare your students to thrive with Adobe's course on teaching essential creative skills. Across 10 bite-sized videos designed specifically for educators, discover why the World Economic Forum, LinkedIn, and almost 85% of students value creativity as the key to unlocking a world of potential. Learn to help your students develop essential creative skills like creative thinking, creative problem solving, and creative communication. And hear from educators who are teaching those skills right now across disciplines, subjects, and age groups. So check out this free course on the Adobe Education Exchange and join our community of creative educators and instructional designers today.
You can look up bit.ly/Adobe-skills-course to find out more and register.
Or scan this QR code, which will take you to the course starter page on the Adobe Education Exchange.
You're watching Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Adobe have recently launched a major partnership between Adobe and the Khan Academy.
The Khan Academy is a non-for-profit educational organisation created in 2006 by Sal Khan with the goal of creating a set of online tools that help educate students.
Originally focused on the teaching of mathematics, now with over 120 million registered users, the Khan Academy provides resources for a wide range of curriculum areas.
The goal of this partnership is to support the development of new, free online learning resources that foster creative and critical thinking skills, helping all students reach their potential and ultimately be better prepared for the future.
The partnership includes a new course on the Adobe Education Exchange called Teach Creativity with Adobe and Khan Academy, as well as a series of teaching resources. Look up at bit.ly/Adobe-Khan-course21 for more information.
The aim of the new course and the teaching resources is to help teachers learn how to use creative activities and projects to drive student engagement, deepen their learning, and set them up for future success. This clip explains more.
Millions of students and educators worldwide have used Khan Academy to learn and practice core academic content across subjects. Adobe, meanwhile, is the leader in tools and curriculum that allow students to practice creativity, communication, and digital skills. We're so excited to bring these two organizations together with a new, easy-to-use, adaptable, and innovative curriculum. In this new self-paced course for educators, Teach Creativity with Adobe and Khan Academy, we'll introduce you to over 100 lessons, activities, and projects that combine Khan Academy content with creative extensions using Adobe tools. You'll dive deep into pedagogy and instructional design. Hear from real educators across K-12 and higher ed.
It's a beautiful blend of informative and engaging content
who have transformed their students' learning outcomes with these innovative approaches. Plus, with an end-of-course assignment, you'll have the option to receive a digital credential and certificate for professional development hours. So, whether you want to teach literature, science, history and social sciences, art history, math, or storytelling with Pixar in a box, this free course will teach you to weave core content and creative projects in flexible, exciting, and engaging ways. Sign up today on the Adobe Education Exchange.
Last Tuesday, the 8th of June, Adobe Education leaders Michelle Dennis and Justin DeLacy helped me to run a special Adobe in Education webinar focused on some of Adobe's low-lift and high-impact tools, such as Adobe Spark, Aero, and Rush.
Look up bit.ly/Adobe8 June 21 to see Tim's post about this event and take note of the recordings.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
We have over 24,000 teachers who have enrolled in at least level 1 of the Adobe Creative Educator program. Please do promote this program with your colleagues via adobe.ly/ACE. The focus, as we've said many times, is not on Adobe skills, but understanding the importance of creativity in education.
If you would like to be guided through level 1, Dr. Kitchen is running the next Be a Creative Educator course on Wednesday, the 7th of July, 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. AEST, which is a holiday period for most Aussie states, and on Monday, the 30th of September, from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. AEST. More information can be found at bit.ly/adobe-edu-creative.
Hi folks, well it's now time to welcome our education thought leader for their 5-minute gem to inspire us and make us think more deeply about the importance of our role as educators.
And our thought leader for this episode of Inject Creativity Live is Adobe Education leader Stephen Kolber. Over to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. So as I'm attempting to inspire you, I'm going to hide that. I'm trusting it's all working on. Didn't work last time, so here we are. Basically, I'm just going to give a short little report, and I'll start a 5-minute timer. Since we're here as Adobe APAC leaders, I was representing the APAC region at the International Labour Organization, and we were discussing this juicy title, which is the technical meeting on the future of work in the education sector in the context of lifelong learning for all skills and the decent work agenda. So to put that into layman's terms, basically we were talking about how the future world of work might be changed by technology and partly by the COVID situation that's happened. And so I'll talk you through a little bit of how it works, because I didn't even know such an organization existed. I may have taught it as a history teacher, but obviously I didn't expect to actually be in attendance at such a thing. So excitingly, it's basically, unfortunately it was online, but it's essentially like the United Nations. So you've got English, French and Spanish live translation. So you have people from 108 governments around the world, and employers and workers, so teachers, education workers like ourselves. And they're all sharing across their various different language groups, and importantly, all about technology as a big focus. So this is Jelmer Evers. He was our teacher education worker representative. If anyone knows any of these books, he's sort of the one who began them. He started it off. And so he was our representative in Geneva. And then we have the education employers, the education workers, and the government group. So they call it tripartite discussion. So the three groups are having a big conversation. And to give you very broad strokes, the government is trying to support teachers and they want a balanced approach. The workers want to be promoting the work of teachers as first and foremost. And the education employers basically want flexibility. So they want the kind of things that we may have all done during, various COVID situations. They would prefer a lot of online learning, like what we're doing now.
Seem to have lost Stephen there for a second. Hopefully he will come back any second now. But if he doesn't come back, that was fascinating so far. We'll give him a bit of an opportunity. And while we're waiting for Stephen to hopefully join us back again, Tim Cosgrove has gone into the chat to thank Craig for his inspirational presentation. Look forward to reviewing the content of your presentation on Xd. So there you go. Thanks to you, Craig, all the way from Toronto, Canada, which is pretty cool. I'm just a little bit concerned that Stephen might still be talking at the moment without realizing that we've lost him. Yeah, he's totally gone from the system now. So, Erin, we might bring him back if he does appear, because I was fascinated with that.
Indeed. I was actually making my notes as he was presenting, and I did actually go to the ILO's site and found the section about the education sector where it has some information about what he was talking about. So hopefully he can rejoin us and resume his talk. Otherwise, I can share that link during the fireside chat after this broadcast. And but it is, the ILO.org, I believe, is the organization that he's speaking about during his presentation.
Yeah, and I'd love to find out how he got involved in that. So maybe he can tell us in the fireside chat if he comes back. But while we're waiting for him to hopefully rejoin us again, let's have a look at the summit that's coming up soon. So, Jerry, if you can come up the summit slide. The 2021 APAC Adobe Education Summit is being held as an online event on Wednesday, the 29th of September.
So this event is open to any educator at any sector, level and curriculum area.
It's going to be a wonderful event involving presentations and news from the global Adobe Education team, creative catalyst talks and inspiration from local Adobe education leaders, and lots more.
Now, it is a free event and you can register your interest to be involved at bit.ly/adobe-edu-summit-21.
Please share this link with your colleagues and your wider education networks and keep that day free. It is a school holiday period for most of you.
If you're a member of the Adobe Education Leader community, there is a special day just for you the day prior on Tuesday, the 28th of September.
And if you're an Adobe Creative Educator or have at least enrolled in level 1 of the ACE program, there's a Creative Challenge Day for you and the AELs on Thursday, the 30th of September. More information about these extra days will be sent directly to you.
Register now for the summit and we'll provide more details about the agenda in future episodes of this show.
There we go. So just not having Stephen, he still hasn't been able to join us.
Stephen. Oh, no, here he is. Hooray. Yay!
Stephen, we lost you.
Oh yeah, I saw the light on my camera go out, and I thought, oh, that doesn't look good.
That you were still presenting and talking without realizing that
the lights were on, but someone was home going. So yes, we've done a bit of a tap dance and talked about the Adobe Education Summit in your absence. So do
Wonderful.
You think you can pick up from where you left off? You had just shared a slide that had. It was good. You had a slide that had the report from the ILO, and yes, if you'd like to continue on.
Over here. All right. Okay. Well, it never rains, but it pours. So amusingly, what I was talking to myself about when my internet dropped out was that internet should be, the basic discussion we had at this forum was the idea of a digital basket, which is basically that everyone should have access to the internet. If you think of the lame pyramid meme that has the hierarchy of needs and then someone's added Wi-Fi down the bottom, that's basically what we're discussing, that should be a requirement that all governments strive to be able to deliver to their people, because in its absence, there's a real risk of what we call learning poverty, which is basically the idea that young people can't read, write, or engage with the world. And so that's big picture, the kind of stuff that we were discussing. And we were trying to discuss basically the limitations and the restrictions that should be put on technology. As we are tech-forward teachers ourselves, it's not necessarily something we would all advocate for, but you can see how in certain countries and in certain places, artificial intelligence and machine learning might run ahead of perhaps the human development. And so that's what we discussed. The question, I guess, that's left is, how is this relevant to the Adobe APAC thing? But I think there's some really interesting starting points for discussion, especially amongst a very tech-forward group such as what we are. So not really sure what part of that was cut out, but hey, technology.
Stephen, I've got a question for you. Tell me, how did you get involved? How did you get invited? What was your connection there with this organization?
So my big passion is artificial intelligence and kind of exploring, I guess the thing that I bring to that is my knowledge as a teacher and my knowledge of through research of artificial intelligence. And so as part of that, I was involved in a forum on the future world of work in education with Education International. And then as part of that, they put me forward for this ILO discussion. And so basically I was one of a small handful of people from across the world with that sort of a skill set to discuss, AI, the future of education and how it all might work. And I think we can all safely say Adobe's on the right side of history when it comes to using technology the right way and developing creativity in our young people, and all the way up to the TVET sector. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's great to hear. And Stephen, I'd love to find out more about all of that too and give you a bit more time. I'm even thinking we might be able to include you in the summit somewhere, whether it's even just with the AELs or it might be at the open session, but we'll have a chat about that offline to see if we can get some more, because it's really fascinating, the work that you're doing. And thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Well, if you are on Facebook and you are not already a member of the Australasian Adobe Education Community Facebook group, please join via facebook.com/groups/AUSAEL.
This is a great way to keep regularly involved with Adobe in education and the wider community.
Erin, we are having a bit of a break from Inject Creativity Live events for the next few weeks, while many schools and universities around the Australasian region go into a mid-year holiday break. Our next Inject Creativity Live event will be on Wednesday, the 14th of July at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Our AEL presenter will be Adobe Education leader Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast, who'll be focusing on her use of Adobe Stock.
And we'll be welcoming back the wonderful Dan Hassler, Director of Cut Through Coaching and Consulting, as our education thought leader.
For those of you watching the recording of this episode, join us live if you can in the future. It is always much more fun and interactive when you're live. And for those of you who are watching us live, get ready to move to bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe for our fireside chat, and we will see you all at the next episode.
See you later.
Well, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Inject Creativity Live. For those who are watching live, join us via bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe for an informal, non-recorded fireside chat to meet and interact with our presenters, as well as complete the feedback form and apply for a professional development certificate. If you are not watching this live, join us live next time. Use this QR code or link to find out more about dates and topics. On behalf of Dr. Kitchen and Erin Raethke, don't forget to keep being creative.